Hey everyone, TJB Chris here, and I got a new color computer. Well, not this color computer, but this color computer. Okay, it's hidden behind the picture here, but this is the color computer that I bought online from another member of the community. And I was actually looking for an additional CoCo so I could do what a lot of us in the community want to do and buy the Gimme X when it comes out, because when that thing's out, I'll be ready with my credit card in hand, screaming, "Please take my money." But in the meantime, I figured I'd get ready and get myself another CoCo 3 because I want to have more than one. I'd like to keep one as close to stock as possible and have one that I kind of heavily mod so that I can try all the new stuff that uses all the new hardware. Unfortunately, when I bought this machine, I got it, as you can see in the picture. It was a little dirty, but the person who sold it to me, asked me if I wanted it, sent me pictures, and I was like, yeah, it's coming to a good home. I can clean that up. It'll be great to have, so send it over. It's a 512K CoCo 3. And unfortunately, FedEx does what sometimes FedEx does, and I don't know if they dropped it or what, but it ended up like this. And so when I got it apart, as soon as I got it out of the box, the keyboard was shifted to the left, as you can see, and there's a space between the bottom halves of the case, and you can see that from the looks, the stands on the inside have snapped off. If you pick up the machine and move it around, there's a whole bunch of plastic. So taking the cover off for the remaining screws that were attached, you could definitely see that a couple of the keyboard stands had broken off. Some of the mounts for the main board had also snapped, and the mount for the power supply had similarly snapped. Fortunately, the person who sold it to me, of course, I felt bad at just even saying it to him because obviously no one likes to see something like this happen to a great computer. But and I also point out that this is despite an excellent job packing and shipping it. So this is not a reflection on how the machine was sent to me. It was just bad luck and shipping companies. I figured this would give me a nice project with this machine. So what we're going to do tonight is take a look at the machine. It's already taken apart, and I've cleaned up the case, and we're going to plug in the motherboard. I've already tested it out. It works, and the power supply works, and the keyboard works. And then we're going to take a closer look at these components, and I'm going to start trying to repair the motherboard with a little bit of JB Weld plastic epoxy. So let's take a look and see what we've got here, shall we? So here it is. Obviously the whiskey was not included, but I figured that would be a nice little thing to take the edge off from having to help rehabilitate this poor sad color computer. So the manuals that I got with it were not expected, and that's very awesome, especially because I didn't have my original Introducing Your Color Computer 3 manual from my machine, and it's in great shape. And it's obviously seen a little more use than the other manual, but it is in great shape, and I'm really happy to have it back. I know I can look these up on the Color Computer Archive, but there's something to just having the manual, and I really enjoy having a full manual set again. And then the Extended Color Basic book. This, now, you can tell by the spine at the top, this barely saw any real action other than maybe some storage. It's in really great shape, and I'm not even going to open it all the way because I don't want to bend the spine, but it is in excellent shape, and I'm really excited about that. So I actually have another manual set that I bought on eBay that did not include Introducing, but did include the Extended Color Basic manual and the quick reference guide. So up to the Model 4 for YouTube. And here we have the motherboard, and the motherboard has a Cloud9 SIMMM upgrade on it, and that SIMMM upgrade is very cool. Actually, as you can see from the photo on your screen right now, the SIMMM upgrade also had jostled loose a little bit, but didn't do any damage to it, and it didn't really completely leave the connector, so no damage was done. We have the CoCo 3 keyboard and power supply here, and despite a little bit of, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little bit of a flex in the, or crease in the cable here. That was done when the keyboard was shifted to the left, as you saw in the previous photo. But it still works. All the keys work, and I'll demonstrate that. Then we have the power supply here. Yep, it's a transformer. Woohoo. Actually, it's really just the transformer because the rest of the power circuitry is right there. And then we have the parts I collected. So these are the case screws and all the stands, which actually, when I was playing around, really look like I know where they go and they're fit. So I'm pretty confident that I can turn this back into a somewhat reasonable semblance of its former self. So those are the parts ready to go. And then this is the case. As you can see, versus the pictures, again, when I bought the machine, it was noted that it was a little dirty and needed some cleaning up, but it wasn't it was in good shape otherwise, and I have since cleaned it up in preparation for this. So the interesting thing I should note too, this is the top of an American-made CoCo 3. You can tell by the larger Tandy font and the logo here. So if we go over to my color computer, which you might hear in the background is still playing Gunstar, the Tandy logo is smaller here. And there are some smaller Tandy logos on USA-made machines, especially the early ones. But the later USA-made machines generally had the larger Tandy logo. And that's Gunstar. So, back to this. Otherwise, you can see here where the stands were snapped off. Everything else is in pretty good shape. And really, I mean, it's it cleaned up real nice. I did my usual magic eraser treatment on it, and that was good. On top of the Model 12, but not scratch either. And here we have the bottom. And this bottom is actually, and probably the motherboard with it, is from a Korean CoCo 3. And you can see it's got the Korean parts on there, or Korean label on there. It says made in Korea. So this bottom, this case, and the top case are from different machines, in all likelihood. I can't say that with certainty, but I don't remember seeing any Korean CoCos with big Tandy logo. And the motherboard. Now the motherboard, interestingly, because it has a bodge wire on it from something probably related to the 512K upgrade, it doesn't have the shielding on it, so whatever. Actually, let me see if I can get this 512K upgrade out, and we'll just show you some of the other things on the underside of the upgrade. Alright, so the 512K SIMMM upgrade, I actually have not owned one of these Cloud9 SIMMM upgrades. This is pretty neat. Very nice design, very simple, compared to the very busy Tandy and other 512K upgrade boards. It's very neat. Very happy to have it. And as you can see here, on the motherboard here, this chip, this is one of the original 128K RAM sockets, and you can see it's as though, I don't know if someone melted it with a soldering iron or what, but it definitely, oh, focus, focus, focus. It definitely did not play nice. And C65 was desoldered, so it almost looks like someone just hit it with the iron. So anyway, that's the only thing I really notice about this. And again, this is a material, I'm not using the 128K sockets, and the Cloud9 upgrade is going to kind of do it. So that's the motherboard. So let's just, get the RAM upgrade back in here, and we'll put it back in, and we will try it out. Okay, so my main CoCo 3 has been relegated to the top of the disk bin here, guarded by Mr. Goomba. And here we have the Take Apart CoCo 3, held up by a Final Fantasy Origins strategy guide. And I want to say the other two are Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicle and The Legend of Zelda, probably Wind Waker. Anyway, so here we are, we're all assembled. Let's power it up. See what we got here. And there we go, we've got ourselves a picture. Alright, so we're powered up. I'm going to walk through each of the keys here real quick, and you'll see they work great. And I did clean off the keyboard. You can see the keyboard responding nicely. Control. Even for the keys that don't display anything, as long as the cursor flashes red, you're kind of good. See, like the right arrow, the down arrow, Shift 9, Shift 1, and space F1, F2. Okay. So we have ourselves a nice working system. We'll try. We have ourselves. Okay, we're good there. Alright, I'm going to type in the memory test program real quick, and we'll see what happens with that. Alright, now we have the program, and this is the program, by the way, from the Tandy 512K upgrade kit. There are other programs out there, and I probably could have downloaded one, but I figured this was a fun way to try this. Is it perfect? No, it only really does one byte every 512, and it only does the RAM area below basic and the high-res screens, but it'll do the trick. RAM test is good. Okay, so while not a comprehensive RAM test, this is at least enough to make me confident. I mean, the machine's been really stable and works well, so I'm very happy the hardware is in great shape. So we're here. We have the whiskey, of course. We also have some non-whiskey, because you have to have not just whiskey. Not an endorsement, just local warehouse club offers cases of it. cheap. Okay, so here I have a little cup here with a popsicle stick, and I'm using JB Weld. This is plastic bonder, high strength. I'm hoping that this will hold up. The thing I'm worried about mainly is that because we have the screws here, anytime you put pressure on these things like super glue and I don't know, I haven't tried Gorilla Glue, but super glue especially tends not to hold up when it's under pressure, especially pulling one shock and it comes apart. So we're going to try this, and I'm going to mix up small batches of it. I'm going to try and hold all my pieces with tweezers, and then what we're going to do is go through the bag and pull out the various pieces and put them together. Okay, we're going to let those sit. While I do that, I'm actually going to move on to the other side of the case here, and we're going to try not to hit this. I hope that's in frame. It's kind of in frame, so I have these two. And I apologize, this might not be the most visible, just because of the angle and everything else, but I want to get this back together. This is actually a two-parter here. This is the, for this together. So this goes the other way, and this together makes one thing. So what we're going to do is I'm going to try and put these two together first, and then we'll put the whole assembly on. Because then while that's going, I can go work on one of the other ones. We'll see how this goes, but alright, so the keyboard ports are going, we've got the top case pieces kind of going on, we're just going to let them do their thing, and then we're going to come back and see how we can do these next couple of pieces. I've still got this from the bottom case piece, and I've got a couple of smaller pieces and the power supply. So we've got one more piece I'm going to do tonight. It's this one. Goes right back here. You can see there. I've got to do this. I don't want to disturb this. This is still setting. I've got the manuals kind of holding it in place with the keyboard, but this kind of orients pretty much like that. So what I'm going to do is right just like that. Actually, I'm going to get a small batch of the new epoxy mixed up. I'm going to put it in there. We're going to hold this down, and that should do it. There we go, I think that's in. I'm going to not touch that, resist the urge. Resist your urge to touch this. Alright, it's the next morning and we're getting ready for work, but before work, of course, gotta check on the CoCo case. So, this is where we're at. This here and this over here, still broken. This guy I don't think I had the pieces for. I have one of the two. It broke off into more than one, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this side repaired, but on this other side here, we're going to do this next. But This is one of the posts I repaired, and I can kind of wiggle it a bit. It doesn't seem to move. In fact, and if I put in the keyboard, it now holds, and I can put it on there. So that's good. I'm pretty happy with that. The biggest thing I'm going to have to do with this is be careful not to over torque any screws. And then same for the other part. So this here, where are we? Okay. So these here are the two I added. This one was the two-stepper. I had the two halves. I got back together. It's holding nicely. And this as well. So I should be able to, I'll turn this around. I should be able to put the keyboard in there. Oh, it wasn't around. Ah. I'll put the keyboard in here, and we will see if the case fits. Oh, it does. And it does. Look at that. And the keyboard's solid in there. It's not moving. Excellent. All right, I'm shaking it off screen like you can see that. But it's solid. We got the nice... This side here was damaged pretty good when it was the part in the pictures you saw before that was open. And now it is not. So the keyboard's a little, well, it's only a little off center because I apparently can't set it in there. Okay. So either way, very good. And just like my CoCo 3, actually I'm looking at my other CoCo 3, the keys hug this side and not this side. So this is aligned correctly. So excellent. Okay, next step, we do have the other piece for the motherboard mount that we are going to do, so we have more than just the cartridge screws holding it down. So we're going to briefly do that. That'll hold that into place, and now we're going to leave that by its lonesome for the next, well, it'll set in 15 minutes. It'll cure over the next 24 hours. And then if I find the remaining piece for this last one, we'll try and rebuild it. I don't know if you can see it. If not, then this side's just going to be what this side is. Actually, while we're here, I'm also going to, almost forgot, I'm going to try and put a little pressure on this and just throw a little epoxy in there since I have the epoxy wet. And there it is. So we've got, I don't know if you can see it very well. I put a little on this side, and then I can't really turn it around, but, and here I pulled this back and got the crack open and got some on the outside. So this is hardening, this is going to cure, and in the meantime, if I find the other counterpart for this little guy again, I'll do it. If not, then it is what it is, or I'll see if we can figure something out. But prognosis for this case is looking very good. I'm very happy with the way it's coming out. So this last piece here, and we're all cured up again, and holding up well, everything's staying together. Case fits together like I showed. The last piece here, actually, I don't have all of. So what I think I'm going to try and do is, I have a piece of it, and if I can get it in there and get it to stay, and not have a piece stick to my fingers. If I can do that, you can't even see it really, but if I can do that and get that in there, I'm going to try a little experiment that I'm hoping will work. So we'll get to that. But first, let's just epoxy this real quick. Perfect. Okay. Now I just have to leave that alone. It's lined up as good as it's going to be. Now what I don't know is the epoxy's kind of in there. This may not even be a usable thing, but we'll see what it does. See if I can drive the screw in when we're done here. But I don't want to put a screw in now, obviously. So we're holding up pretty well here. This is on there. I'm going to let this sit for another minute or two, and then I'm going to try my little experiment here. So in the meantime, we're going to take this off to the side. And you can see here, I mentioned badges. Despite the fact that we don't need no stinking badges, we do in fact need stinking badges. So I managed to get the old badge, which was pretty bubbled up, and then I made it worse because I peeled off the plastic. I was hoping that it would come up without taking the paint, and I just friggin' wrecked it. But I managed to get the badge out without wrecking it, at least in, or making it misshapen enough that I could measure it, and then just measured it out with this caliper ruler here, and then managed to get a halfway decent top-down picture of it, and photoshopped it to the correct size. So, I then got some removable sticker paper and printed myself one. And while it's not perfect, and I'm terrible at cutting things out, this is temporary. Like I said, I got a couple of inquiries in on badges, so we're going to see what this looks like, and if it looks halfway decent, honestly, all things considered, for a temporary badge, I'm pretty happy with it. It needs just a little trim on the end here, so let's do that. Because it's just a hair too big. That's perfect. And you know what? That'll be right in there and I'll be able to remove it. So, okay, I got it. That did not make it easy. Alright, now this is somewhat sticky, but not too bad. I kind of want to get it right the first time. Look at that. Honestly, I'm not unhappy with that. I'm not exactly the craftiest dude on the planet, but I'm pretty happy with that. And as a stand-in for a real badge, I'm not unhappy with that. Wow. Okay, so now that we have our temporary badging in place, it's time to break out a little bit of an idea that I had. So what I'm going to do to fix this, after I get my arts and crafts project out of the way here, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try a little Bondo. And we're going to see, it doesn't say really for plastic, but we're going to see what it does. Alright, so now what I have here is I have this Bondoed in the screws there. So I'm going to let the epoxy set. If I keep torquing on this, the epoxy's going to, it's not really fully bonded yet. But what this should give me is a nice conformed fitting to the screw here, kind of reconform this, and when the Bondo hardens, it's not going to be terribly structural, and that's not really the point. The point is really just to keep the, I want to be able to put the screw in just enough to hold the motherboard down enough so that it doesn't shimmy too much. On the plus side, the screws for the cartridge port are right here, so it should be pretty well anchored, especially since this side is now good. But we're going to let this harden up. It's going to harden for quite a while, and I'm going to bask in the glow of my Arts and Crafts case badge right there. And then we're going to come back after the Bondo's hardened, pull the screw out, and I might give it a quick sand if I think it's going to hold up, or if I'm not that brave, I might just leave it, and then we'll reassemble this thing and try it out. And then that will be the resurrected CoCo 3. Alright, move paper towels out of the way here. We're back, and we have the combination to the air shield. Alright, so this here is where I did the Bondo bit. Let's see if I can get it so you can see it there. Now I didn't get too fancy in there just because I didn't want to break off the epoxy still setting here for this. So, but the Bondo's hardened and it did conform to the screw, so it did exactly what I wanted. I'm pretty happy with that. Like I said, I don't know how well it'll hold up, but I wanted to get it some semblance of structural and really give this piece something to rest against while it hardens. So what we're going to do now is actually put the machine back together. I'm going to leave this screw unpopulated for now because I want this to cure overnight. But we're going to put the rest of the machine back together and see how it all works. And there we are. Completed, repaired CoCo 3. I'm pretty happy with it. I don't think this thing will take a lot of jostling. I want to be careful with it, but I am extremely happy with this. I'm going to hold on to this screw, and what we're going to do is when the adhesive has finished curing on that last post, we'll drive it in. Neither of those can be tightened all the way down. They're not going to take a lot of torque. It'll break the epoxy and plastic, but it should at least hold the board and stop it from jostling too much, and that's really all I want. So, but otherwise, I'm very happy with this. You know, I'll put the pictures back up. If you went from what I went from to what I went to, I'm really happy about this. All I need to do is find a real case badge, but this will work in the interim. So now I think it's time we set this up and try it out. Okay, so we're going to get my existing CoCo 3 disconnected here. I'm just going to move it out of the way. Just going to drop it on this floppy disc holder here. I try not to flex this because the conductors and the cable break and then it gets funky. Okay. Comes the transplant 3. The RGB port. Apologize if I'm a little off frame here, but there we go. Just undo the power cord here. I'm super excited for how this went. I had my broken CoCo 3 that's in the closet that I do need to still fix. I could have used its case, but I feel like this was better. Okay, I'm going to apologize in advance if the screen's a little funky. We're just going to power it up without anything connected to it at first, and then we'll play with the Multi-Pak interface. Okay, we have power. Everything looks good. Even for the ones that don't display, as long as the cursor's flashing, I know it's taking it. Okay, excellent. So that part works. Let's plug in the Multi-Pak interface and we'll boot up the SDC. Okay, Multi-Pak connected. Let's just power it up. Alright, let's see what we got on Run. SDC. I can't type, get me on the camera. Okay, I want NOS 9 SDC. Let's do that. Okay. Let Nitrous 9 boot up. This is an old version, but whatever, it'll work. And we see 408K, so it sees the 512K upgrade. This is that, like I said, the Cloud 9, the SIMMM based one, that's pretty cool. So all in all, I'm really happy with this. It's quite functional, and the case is holding up nicely. It's not all rattly or anything. Keyboard seems to be straight in there and properly aligned. And yeah, so this CoCo again is going to be my Gimme X machine. When the Gimme X rolls around, you can just put me right on that list right now because I'm excited. And that lets me keep a stock one that is, you know, pretty period correct. I always like to have period correct stuff, but I also want to play with the new stuff. So that's what this machine's future is likely to be here. I actually have my other CM8 monitor that is in need of a recap, so if I can get that recapped, that'll probably be a video too. You can watch me do high-speed soldering with some sort of samba, rumba, or bossa nova playing in the background. But anyway, this has been a great, somewhat unexpected but fun project. It was a nice little CoCo project. It's going to be doing something CoCo again. And yeah, really happy with it. So this will be there'll be more on this as the Gimme X rolls around and I do some other things with it. In the meantime, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.